Yes. All right. Hey. Welcome to Monday Quality Talks, show number 21. How are you all doing? I hope great. I hope you can hear me well. I hope the sound is on point. Please do let me know if there's anything off. Shouldn't be, but you never know. We're gonna wait for more people to connect. In the meantime, jump in the chat. That's right. What's up, Ellie? How are you doing? Thank you so much for tuning in for your weekly Monday rendezvous. That's right. How you doing? Getting you in the mood. We're gonna be talking about something a little bit stressful, but still gotta set up the mood nicely, because it doesn't have to be stressful. Hey. I'm playing for you right now the actually the demo version of my song, a tribute to my late father, called Papa. And initially I was supposed to have Les Nubians singing on this track, and you know, they ended up singing on another track called Beautiful Humans, and on this one I had I figured that it was more fitting for a beautiful artist by the name of Mohamed Diaby, Mali's very own. So, family, please do not be shy. Jump in the chats, share your experience, because today we're talking about anxiety being a bitch. So let me just first go and read what anxiety means when you tap into in Google. You know, what is an anxiety attack? So an anxiety attack is a sudden and intense episode of fear and anxiety. These anxiety attacks can sometimes occur unexpectedly for no apparent reason, but they can also be linked to specific triggers. Wow. Well, I acknowledge that I was in no way, shape, or form in fear of anything when it took me over on this Friday. But I was definitely not feeling at the best of my form. Let's just put it this way. And let me just check this volume quickly. Make sure that it's, yes, should be better. But yo, anxiety is a bitch, man. I had heard about it, and I've, you know, I know some people suffer from it, in a very, very drastic and violent way. I mean, it's literally impeaching them to live a normal life up to a certain extent. And so let me before I even get elaborate on all that shit, on my personal experience, I'm not an expert, so I'm gonna be reading about this. All right, so panic attack. Panic attacks come on suddenly and involve intense and often overwhelming fear. They are accompanied by frightening physical symptoms such as racing heartbeat, shortness of breath, or nausea. Probably that was a panic attack, maybe, because I did had the whole heartbeat situation. The latest edition of Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders recognizes panic attacks and categorizes them as unexpected or expected. Unexpected panic attacks occur without an obvious cause. Expected panic attacks are cued by external stresses such as phobias. Panic attacks can happen to anyone, but having more than one may be a sign of panic disorder. Anxiety attacks aren't recognized in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. However, it defines anxiety as a feature of a number of common psychiatric disorders. Okay, now we're going to go too deep. But anyway, point being that, again, I'm not a specialist. I'm just talking about my mental process and some of the things that I've put in place, some of the methodology that I put in place to help me deal with very stressful situations or very challenging situations that can happen in life and that will happen in life, for as long as we are alive, indeed, and there's different degrees in stress and all of these experiences that can lead one to feel, like they're going to lose control. In my case, so I haven't been able to sleep very well for the past 3 months and a half, at least. And I've only been sleeping 4.5 hours, at most 5. And I was functioning, I've always been functioning, working out, staying busy. I'm always busy. There's not a day I'm not busy. And if anything, I think I overwhelmed myself with too much work. You know the word, I've overworked myself. And so, and in doing so, I was just, working extensive hours. And having very little time to sort of like focus on me. But that's not necessarily true, because I think that every morning, my ritual being that before I do anything, I take the dog out and, clean up, whatever, and I'll go into this full 1 hour and 30 minutes of, me time where I'm meditating, stretching, working out, doing my push-ups, my abs, whatever the case may be, lifting weight. And, I do that every day without a miss, almost. The only place I don't necessarily get to do it is when I visit parents, and because, it's a full feast of food and just lovely culinary stuff. So, I basically work out during the week to prepare for the weekends, in other words. But you see, I realized that, and because again, for me, and I don't advise anyone to do it. It works for me, and to a certain extent, I think a couple of times I've had to go and consult with people who understood how the mind functioned to help me sort of like process certain things, such as stress or moments in life that appear to be super complicated to deal with. But for the most part, I've always been able to identify when there was an issue or something that caused me to be troubled or to feel overwhelmed and losing control. But it never took me to a point, as far as I can recollect memories of extremely difficult experiences, I rarely had issues of that magnitude on Friday. The same kind of issue, the same kind of manifestation that happened to me. And so, before I explain to you what happened on Friday, I want to, set a little bit of an explanation of how this whole thing came about, I think, to my observation. And Luna, Lukush, that one she's trying to hump the pillow. um, Working out every day, making sure that I'm on the healthy side, taking care of myself, meditating, etc. Great. My question is then, have I really dug deep enough? And I think in various occasions I became um, um, uh, predetermined or determined in the sense that I became mechanical about my movements, right? And I think at a certain point, when you're so used to do the same thing every day, it's you literally, you're conditioned, right? So it's a great thing. I've conditioned my system to function in a way that um, you know allows me to, or forces me to, not start my day without stretching and working out and meditating. And by meditating, I'll elaborate on that. But doing these three things, very important. Obviously, taking a shower twice a day, that's an absolute necessity. But so, when you start looking deeper into these things, you're like, okay, shit, it became such a granted thing. I started to, not granted, but it became it is such an habit in me that I have not really taken the time to identify as deeply as I needed certain things. One observation. The other one is, I think I have acknowledged that there was something, a lot of stuff that stressed me out, and I felt like I couldn't really do much about them. So I've always been very good at, what I cannot control, I try not to stress over. That's been my motto. To the limit of my capacity, of course. There are certain things that, are harder to do than others, right? And for example, I'm still having this breathing issue. So I've noticed that at night, I'm having the stress of the day settles down at night, but then gives me this short breath, like I have right now, for example. So, but again, I come out of a situation that happened to me on Friday, which was like crazy. Like I really felt like, God, my heart was gonna explode or something. My chest was tight, my throat was, it was just messed up. And so what I did is that I started to really dig deep into some of the things that may have caused it, and for me, it's really related to my profession and to work and getting things done, and I'm a result-oriented type of person. So, and I love the process. I love even though it can be super, super freaking difficult and very challenging, I do enjoy even the struggle of it, because I consider that it's like a boot camp. It's like, you know what, I am being prepared for something greater, and I'm preparing myself for something greater, because I do believe that you can only be shaped through indeed a certain level of pain and a certain level of sacrifice and a certain level of consenting to go the extra mile, so that you can actually get certain things, see certain things through. And so maybe, and certainly, have I been demanding too much of myself? Probably. Have I been also maybe victim of toxic positivity? Maybe, even though I'm very good at not being hard on myself to a point where I beat myself up if I wake up and didn't do my workout or whatever. Like it happens, but it's indeed so rare that it's not even a thing that causes me disruption. So what is it? And so you have to tap into your deeper spheres and some of the things that may have happened, years ago. For example, me, I have a thing with making sure that I do everything to maintain a quality of life that is of a certain level, and that does mean that I have to be super rich, uber rich, which I wouldn't mind, and I'm not minding to be. Obviously, I'm working towards having a level of financial achievement that is beyond what I have right now. But there's a process to everything, right? So to everything, but all that comes from sentiment or an experience of poverty, an experience of a certain level of poverty or lack thereof that I've experienced in my past. So I've said before, when COVID hit, like, yeah, besides the fact that okay, we were confined home, like being home, not working was never really a thing that affected me that much, because I had been used to it for quite some time in the past. So it was all right. I think that, however, the fact that we are in the second year really, and there is no perception on the future, to a certain extent, latently had some sort of impact. But at the same time, as I said, I've learned to train my mind to just to deal with what it can actually control. Feel me? It's like I can't control what's coming tomorrow, but I can control what I'm doing right now, and make plans according to what I am building upon now, right? Without the certitude, the certainty that it's going to come through. Obviously, nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, but you make plans, and you set up goals and visions, and you align yourself energetically, in terms of frequency, in terms of your vibration, your mental vibration, everything. You try to like really breathe, sweat, drink, eat what it is that you want to be, the future self, which is now. You know what I mean? You're building what is coming now. So, and what is now is a result of what was yesterday. So, unless you decide that what was yesterday is going to consist of a weakness, and definitely there are certain aspects of what happened to you yesterday, not as in yesterday, it could be yesterday, but in the past, that can be consisting of little bridges, in the manufacturing of, or in the manufacture of who you are or who you try to be. But I believe that if you're really self-conscious, in the sense that you're conscious of self, you're conscious of how you function, of how your mind flows, of what triggers you, and how to handle certain informations, I'm very confident that you're going to be capable to see through and get to the completion of the self that you're trying to build, or you're trying to see coming to you or manifesting. You're gonna see that it's gonna happen, because not only have you aligned your thoughts, but you've aligned your whole behavior, your whole self with that, vision. And if you don't set intention in your heart, if you don't set intention in your brain, in your system, in your soul, you don't speak to yourself, you don't acknowledge your value, you don't acknowledge your importance. Not in the sense that you're better than anyone, but your importance because, yes, your life is worthy, your life is important. You're not just a waste, you're not just anything. You have a value. You may not see it, but you do have one. And you may think that people don't see it, maybe some people enjoy making you feel like you don't have any. But as I always say and use a very colorful word, fuck them. Because who cares? So, all that is great. But there's going to be that little thing that's going to trigger. There's going to be that little accumulation, of, it could be somebody, it could be a situation, it could be anything. And then as much as you can take a lot of pressure, I consider myself to be somebody that's mentally fit to really, and I have proven that time and time again, I can deal with extreme level of pressures. Like, as much as I don't like it, if we have to go, that's it. That's it. We're dealing with it. But eventually, there's only so much that your system can also take. You get to a point where your CPU saturates. Your memory just can't process it anymore. And so that's what happened to me on Friday. I think, on Friday I had a series of news that came that I didn't see coming, that really bothered me because it shifted my focus and threw me off my balance and led me to get into this weird state of feeling powerless. And there's no such thing as being powerless. But at that moment, but at least, sometimes, yeah, there's certain things you don't have no power upon, but I may not be able to influence what's external to me, but I can influence what's internal to me. At least I refuse to fall victim of my mind and fall victim of whatever emotion that I have inside me. I may feel the feeling, I may experience the feeling, and I may experience that, but I will not be a slave to that emotion, and I will not be enslaved into believing into this idea that I cannot control or I cannot tame what is trying to become a dogma in my existence. I hope I didn't lose you. I believe I didn't. But to simplify, what I'm trying to say is that as much as I felt like I could not necessarily control what happened on Friday, which was shortness of breath, my chest feeling tight, I felt like I was literally getting sick. But I knew that it wasn't me being sick. It was literally the stress that I had built up. And it became it was like a dormant bomb, and it felt very much as if I was going to implode internally. And so that's why I actually had to stop my show, because I was starting to feel a little dizzy. My breathing was really shortened, and I had to go see my mother's partners. My mother is in Belgium right now, so I went to their house and spent the weekend with him. It was really cool. He loves to cook. He's an amazing chef as well. He does it for the pleasure, and he has this semi-professional kitchen. And so, great time, So, and he has this beautiful wine cellar with some very exquisite wines and very, 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 very expensive and super dope bottles that is always very generous and happy to share. So, I went there on after the show. Then we had dinner, and I was feeling good at that moment. I could still feel the anxiety, but it wasn't as bad. It was very interesting because my mind was focused on the conversation and on the food and this good wine, and I was like, honestly, I was out of that emotion during the moment of that dinner. But the moment I was done eating, and then and it was just dope food, right? So, and when they cook, I mean, God, it's just amazing. It's like, and I'm a foodie, so. And as much as I like to control and not eat too much, but I was like, oh my God, let me just indulge in this shit. And so I was enjoying the food, and then after we were done eating, I started to feel like, you have this little voice, because we all have these voices, oh, you did too much of that, you ate too much, you're gonna be fat. Look at you, you're already fat. Oh, you know, you have the stupid ass voice that tells you you're not good enough. Who's gonna want this? Who's gonna want you? Who's gonna want? It's like, the fuck is that anything to do? And you're literally talking to yourself. Let me greet Emmanuel Etienne. Thank you very much. Bonne nuit, because it's nighttime here. But yeah, bon dia to you, because it's still well, like I would say, boa tarde. It's late afternoon for you. Lilish, good evening. Thank you for exploring this topic. Je pense que l'anxiété est le mal du siècle. Anxiety is the disease of the century. Yeah, I mean, just like cancer, right? And I'm glad you're making a point about that, because this is where I'm going with this. So, and this conversation is literally happening inside me. We're at the table, you know, we're enjoying good food, everybody's, you know, laughing and, you know, talking, and I'm just for a moment, and that conversation doesn't last more than a couple of seconds. And I'm like, are you mad? I'm literally talking to myself. I said, so it's that voice. I said, it's like you have two voices, right? You know, if you were to, like, you know, in the Looney Tunes, the cartoons, you would have like the devil and the angel, right? It's not like that, but you know what I mean? There's this voice that's like the voice of doubt, the voice, it's very vicious in a way. And when you're mentally feeling a little bit weakened by a given situation, or something of a magnitude that leads you to feel off balance, or that throws you off your balance, then, you know, it's a favorable space for now self downgrading, destructive thoughts, and it's a spiral. It's very vicious, because then you start indulging it. And if you notice, it's very interesting. As humans, it's easier to indulge in pain than happiness and positivity. It's interesting. It's almost like it's been so ingrained in us that we are not worthy of happiness. We are not worthy of you know, we must suffer all the time, and sufferance is, yeah, I mean, sufferance is part of life, but do I have to be victim of sufferance? Do I have to be a victim? Do I have to fall victim of the emotion caused by sufferance? Am I suffering the sufferance? Am I not being so self-centered that I am lacking to acknowledge that, well, maybe this is here to make me realize that, oh, I am more in control of this whole thing than I think. It's almost like it's posing as a reflection that challenges you to look deeper. And if you refuse, you're gonna always think that it's beyond your control and it's unbearable. And yes, sometimes indeed it is unbearable, but that's the thing. It's a mechanism. And bear in mind, I had this is the result of 3 days of thinking. From Friday until Sunday. I spent my time thinking and analyzing and being in my thoughts and taking notes and listening to audio casts and video casts, and listening to yeah, that's true. And then coming to these conclusions where I'm like, you are your worst enemy or your biggest fan or your biggest supporter. But the problem is that we are more than necessary our worst enemies, because we always think less of ourselves. That's why a lot of people, and I think that's why a lot of people, besides some who actually are able to transcend these negative voices, but these are the negative voices that force people or that lead people to always be so critical about themselves, not being enough. That idea of, and by being result driven, you want perfection, but perfection is impossible to achieve. For example, that's an idea that I killed already. Perfection resides in imperfection, right? That doesn't mean that because you're flawed in such a way that impacts other people's life doesn't mean you're perfect. You're not, because if your liberty and the liberty you take is at the expense of someone else's, then you're taking the piss. And you want people to still love you for who you are. No, fuck that shit. We live in a world, in a society, so yeah, I understand you're anxious. I understand you're feeling irritable and all that. But don't use that as a pretext to be a fucking asshole. Oh, but it's not my fault. I can't control it. Well, you surely may not be able to control it. You may not be able to control some of the impact of that anxiety, but that anxiety should not become the excuse for any misbehaviors. Just like people who have had terrible things happening in their lives and they start thinking that it's okay to treat others like shit because, well, they hate the whole world for whatever happened to them. No matter if they feel like they have the right to do so, technically, dude, yes, but nobody's forced to fall victim of that. And anyone who decides to be a victim of that, then, it's a dependency and it's this very weird sort of like relationship, and it's just unhealthy. So let me not be a fucking asshole with myself. I don't disrespect anyone. Obviously when you're in this kind of stage, I felt short of patience for some people that were trying to get in touch with me that day, because nothing necessarily towards them, but yo, dude, when you can't breathe and you're trying to keep your composure together, at a certain point you can't do it anymore because it's just too much. It's really stressful. And so I decided, I said, okay, let me, I am seen and perceived, I think, as somebody who's strong and who's very calm and composed and all of that. That's who I am as well. But it seems like it almost looks as I am sort of like shielded from these kind of things to happen. And to a certain extent, I thought I was, because, I feel like I know that I'm a very, very, very stable person mentally. I have, just like anyone, I have my moods and stuff like that, but I am very stable. Like, I'm not the kind of guy, like people who've known me since I'm a kid. I'm still the same guy. Obviously, I'm an adult now and I have more maturity, but I'm still the same kind of human being, the same kind of heart, the same kind of personality, etc. So, especially when you're positive driven and you understand that, okay, sometimes it's okay to be down, but then you pick yourself back. That's the thing. I've always been used to not allow myself to go down too deeply, because I know that if I do go down, I have a tendency to go really all the way down. Now I come back up, but I just hate the process of going all the way down and coming back up. It's if I can avoid it, I try my best to avoid it. So I keep myself in check, and I have like this sort of like levels where I'm like, okay, check, take a pause, this and that. But I guess leading up to this anxiety attack, I didn't pay attention to these levels, and so I overworked myself and I overestimated my capacity not to be touched by this thing, and boom, here you are. So on Instagram, I posted on my Insta stories about it. I was like, anxiety, I don't want to say, but it's a fucked up feeling or whatever. Because I feel like it's important that even somebody who appears to not be vulnerable in that sense can be vulnerable, because I see also a lot of my fellow brothers out there who act as everything is cool, and because we are alphas, and an alpha doesn't mean you have a toxic sort of sense of domination. Being an alpha, as a matter of fact, I consider an alpha to be a proper alpha is somebody who's very composed, doesn't have to exude any sense of domination, because you naturally are dominating, and you don't need to dominate anyone because you're comfortable in yourself, and that alone can be intimidating for some. So again, everybody have their own perceptions, whatever. But I've seen that a lot of my fellow brothers, and by brothers I don't mean necessarily guys that I know directly, but a lot of men um, all across the board, right? And no matter their skin color or their origins, right, have a tendency to not be in touch as much as they should be with their emotions and not be honest enough about them because either they've been told that they were not man enough or because somebody made them feel some sort of way. And so you fall victim of the image, the idea of what people have made about you and that you've created about yourself. You know, I don't take lightly mental health, man. I've seen and heard of people that were supposedly super sound mentally and all that, committing suicide or falling into alcoholism or drugs abuse and all sorts of shit, man. And that's why it's important to really be able to not be a crying fucking baby about it, but express yourself. Because that's another thing. I think a lot of people, because again, there's this lack of space for us as men, for example, to really express without feeling judged or feeling less or feeling. We have these very weird constructions as men. Like, it's so fucking funny. But I understand it. I do understand the reason why, man. It's societal. It's just what it is. But it needs to change, and I don't pretend to be the one to bring about that change for anyone, but I've been about that change for myself for a little while now. Oh, Mountain of Inspiration, thank you, King. Thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for everyone watching. I do believe that anxiety is something that really affects a lot of people, and it doesn't have to always be a super massive anxiety attack. My anxiety, she started about 2 weeks ago or so. I would have I would have like short breath. I wouldn't be able to breathe properly. And it's fucked up. Because it's like you're constantly lacking oxygen. And you don't know why. And it's like, and you have to calm yourself down, because if you start stressing the fuck out, you're enhancing the whole thing. And you have to understand. And that's when you realize, if anyone doubts that your body and your mind can create the worst of shit, if you doubt that you can create disease for yourself, this is a fucking proof here. Anxiety can lead you to create a serious symptom. Like, you can have heart attack like symptoms. Like, I really felt like I felt like a numbness in my arm and this and that. And I was like, the fuck? But it was my brain. Because at that moment, I don't know, and it doesn't have to last for long. It can be just a couple of minutes. But that's why they say, watch your thoughts. Watch the quality of your thoughts. Because the moment you implement something in your system as being so vividly true, basically your conscious mind is able to distinguish all the different colors of that palette that is presented to you. Your subconscious mind cannot. All your subconscious mind does is apply what you say. So if everything you say, especially when you go to a phase like that, is, oh, I'm gonna die. Well, guess what? There's a big chance you're gonna have die-like symptoms, or you might even fucking die. That doesn't mean that there could be a point where you're in such a place of mental despair that you lose control. Of course, at a certain point, had I not have built this muscle, I can guarantee you that Friday, I felt like my heart was going to explode. And I was going to have this, I was going to die of, suffocation or some shit, But then, sat down in the sofa, and I was like, okay, let me do something. Let me watch something that will just not make me think. And even though I'm not in the best of mood to watch anything like that, let me just work it out. Let me just sat down, I put Rambo 3, and that was it. Did I watch the movie fully? Not really, but it was distracting me. And does it mean that? Sorry, does it mean that I've won this anxiety over? Well, I've definitely managed to control it, and I've managed to understand what was the cause and how to not allow my mind to then be overwhelmed by the situation and try to be in control as much as possible. Without, I mean, by trying to be in control as I surrender control. It's a weird thing, but it's kind of like harmony, right? Where it's you understand that this is happening. This is the result of quite a lot of gathered and bulked up emotions and stuff. But that's not going to make me get on my knees and lose track of whatever it is that I need to be stay on track for. So I decided, okay, let me just disconnect, take a moment, and then I slept. Like I was tired. I rested on Saturday. I rested on sorry. Whew. See, I'm still tired. I finally took the time to rest, and that's another thing. I go to bed. I'm not used to go to bed late anymore. Like, my latest will be 1 a.m., which is late, but like I'll pushing 1 a.m. I'm in bed. Then I wake up at 8:30. If I'm lucky, because most of the time, by 4:35, my eyes are already my eyes are opened, and even if I try to sleep, I'm in this semi-sleep situation. So that was fucking a lot for my body and for my mind, and very stressful. But yeah, this weekend I was like, no. I need to rest. I turned off my phone. My phone is always on plane mode, but I never turned it off, as in like turned off. Turned off my phone, turned off everything, went to bed, woke up, meditated, took a shower, went outside. I started cleaning the garden, and just doing things related to earth, and I was just doing very simple tasks that allowed me to really be in touch with nature and just be chilled as best I could. And let me tell you this, y'all. What a beautiful feeling that was. Beautiful feeling. Because I was able to disconnect. So again, the idea is not to disconnect to forget, but you have to fall back to the essential. Go for a walk in the park, or just go for a walk in the street, whatever the case may be. Chill. Because you know what? You're of no use and you're no good if you are not good. Take a moment for yourself. I decided that, this week I was going to really, not trick myself into believing that, because that's also something that I looked into. And I wanted to be very careful on. Not tricking myself into believing that, I control this shit and I'm good. Yeah, because I woke up this morning, I can guarantee, like, I went to bed last night and I slept like a baby. Like, I literally slept like a baby. Because I felt like I needed to talk to myself and pray and meditate upon what it is that I'm going through. The things that actually came to me on Friday that I had no control on. Most things that happen in life, God is in command, as they say, right? So, and there's nothing that, that is being put on your path, no matter how hard, that you cannot handle. And when you understand that, yo, sometimes it sounds fucking crazy and unfair, but the truth is that there's a deep meaning to this thing, which is that if we're going to be talking religiously, right, or not religious, but I mean, considering the idea of God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, if you've been created in the image of God, and God, I don't mean God, because when we think God, a lot of people think God as it's almost like you're personifying, but it's, you can't. I mean, in my opinion, you can't. It just is. But if you've been created in the image of the Creator, and you are a creator in the image of the creation, our life is tasked with searching for the knowledge and acquiring the knowledge and techniques that allows us to honor the reflection of our creation and to be creators of the reality we will put in this life to experience and to help other experience. Are you following me? So look, as I went through this phase, before I continue, welcome Tatiana, welcome, thank you very much, good evening to you too. Mountain of inspiration, excellent topic, great tips. People are extremely anxious these days. Yes, that's right. Absolutely. This is what happened to me. I felt like what I was doing had no meaning. I really felt, I was like, what am I doing this for? Like, it's not paying my bills. What is the recognition? That's what I was feeling. But there is. I mean, you guys tuning in, taking from your time, people coming on Fridays, everyone that's subscribing to my, different platforms, Spotify, Instagram, whatever, everybody following. Like, these are people acknowledging what I'm doing. Like, what the fuck is this voice trying to, like, destroy the creation? What's this duality at this moment, right? And so I was like, I started to think about maybe going back to my first profession, diamonds, because by profession, I'm a diamond cutter as well. I'm a musician, music producer, I have many hats in my industry, 20 years in the game. I can literally tell you how to run a whole fucking label, how it works from marketing to productions. I know everything that needs to be known about running a label company, a record company, from the most simplest task to the most complicated task. I do it all. Just like Asian, we do it all ourselves. But I was like, yo, maybe I should just, how am I gonna do this? Like, okay, if I go back to the diamonds industry and I start, start back, that's gonna take me another fucking at least year or two to just train myself back into the business and to be fully operational. Yeah, at least 2 years. 2 years of starting from not zero, but starting from pretty much zero, because I spent 20 years building this thing, the music thing, built a name for myself, built a reputation for myself. And so Papa Kesha, much love Papa K, on vous embrasse. And so I really had this moment this weekend. I was like, yo, maybe I should go back to the diamond industry. Maybe that's what my father's trying to tell me. And I was like, but no, bro. Like, the father on his bed was telling, he's like, my son, I'm so proud of you. Like, please, under no circumstances do you need to stop doing what you're doing, because this is your calling. This is making me a little bit emotional because this afternoon, I spoke with a very dear friend of mine, a very old friend of mine who has seen the inception of Boddhi Satva, and even he actually helped give the name to my label, Offering Recordings. Offering Recordings is inspired by Patrick and Paul Patrick. Oh man, mon sauge. He said, yo, don't you ever forget, man. Not only is this your calling, but this is your gift. Look at the amount of people you bless with that gift, man. But then I was like, yo, but is our path as people providing joy and happiness to others to suffer the way we're suffering? Because it may look very weird. And by suffering, don't get me wrong, I'm still like, oh, the whole world. But we have indeed a level of challenges that is higher than most people, because it's not like you have a day-to-day job, nine to five job with a boss that pays you your salary, guarantees you or whatever. We are our own bosses. So the income we make is literally resulting of the amount of work we put in. And even then, when we put all the work we put in, the result is not immediate. It's with years sometimes. So, the truth is, I was really doubting that. And then I had a conversation with some people. Somebody was like, really got me doubting about even me, like what I had accomplished. Like that person made me feel like. And when you're down like that, when you're emotionally a little down, you get this anxiety shit, like, and you're having people in front of you, and that's why it's very important to watch who is going to talk to you and who you're going to talk to. Not saying that you need people to pump you up, but you don't need nobody to take you down, or because by trying to keep it real, what they're doing, they're not helping you, because you can keep it real, but you have to understand there's a limit. But some people don't care about that limit because they want to carry that point across. But they're forgetting that should you not be mentally strong, this shit can actually bring you completely down. And again, I give thanks that I've built this muscle so well that even in my deepest doubts during this past weekend, at a certain point, I just rose back from I was like, yo, and I started saying, hey, you're not going to talk to me like this, like that. This, I'm not going to pray. This, I'm not going to accept. Yes, I understand what you mean. I understand this point. I understand that point. But 20 years is not 20 days, is not 20 hours. That's a full-grown person. And that's how much time I've put into this shit. So, if you're not going to act, you're not going to help, shut the fuck up. Because I don't need nobody's approval. Doesn't mean that I don't like my other profession, diamonds. Cutting diamonds was one of my favorite things to do. I love this job. I really love it. It's a beautiful profession. Even rough diamonds, buying rough diamonds, it's amazing. But at the same time, it's a massive challenge. It's not easy. And don't fall for all the fables of like, okay, of course there's blood diamonds. I'm not denying that, but blood diamonds is also a concept that was created to help big companies who control the blood diamonds label on the country to actually go and then get diamonds, without anybody really knowing about it. While others cannot work, they can do it because, of course, when they do it, they're not buying no blood diamonds and bullshit. So, yeah, doesn't mean that I cannot do both. Well, if you want to do something well and very well, especially when we're talking about that kind of field, you have got to be focused. So I was like, wow. At a certain point, I swear to you, I was very close to say, you know what? How about I just stop? That's right. 20 years. I don't have nothing to prove to anybody. I really don't, as a matter of fact. There's not a type of sound, there's not a type of this that I can not do. Like, is it where I plateau? Is it where I actually meet my limit and need a career change? I was like, yo, man, um, I ain't gonna lie to you, yo. Shit was not easy. Babaki, you know it, man. Yo, I ain't gonna lie to you. This shit was not easy. And as I'm talking to you, I'm feeling it. I've been ridiculed. I've been treated like if I'm less by some people that say they love me. I've been talked to and at in a way that, no, sometimes when I really look at myself and say, no, I am very fucking humble. Because I accepted, I said, okay, no, it's okay, let me listen to what that person has said. Because, even in criticism, sometimes there's truth. But then people, when you start to show them, your weak points, you open up, they try to fuck with you. Oh, Dilmaro! Yes, sir. Merci, Frangin. Merci. Welcome, brothers. Moto Music, thank you very much for tuning in. The Shadow Gang in the building. The Bodhists. That's right. Welcome. When you start to show a little bit of weakness, when you open up to people, they think that you're a cat, when actually you're a lion. But because you are showing yourself very calmly, you're humble, you're this. But my pals, if I decide to slap you, I swear to God, your head might not stay on its location. But because I'm not violent, I refuse violence. That's one of the reasons why I did martial arts, and that's one of the reasons why I work again. When you work on yourself, when you work on your mental health to the point where even violence is of no importance for you. I sat in front of very dangerous people in my life. Very dangerous people. And we're not talking about guys who want to be dangerous. We're talking about people who killed people. No, and I'm not saying that in a proud way. I've seen the eyes of people who've lost their souls. I've seen the eyes of people who strayed away from the path that they were supposed to follow. I'm not trying to be that kind of person. Obviously, I wouldn't kill anybody, but it's just to say that it's comparable in a certain way when you're being stripped, or you're trying to strip yourself from or disalign yourself from your calling. It's almost like you're separating yourself from your soul. At a certain point, some say, well, you know what, you have to suffer because, life is not always easy. What are you talking about? So, for me to meet your grace, I need to be doing what you say I should be doing because you think that this is better than what I do. And that's why I tell to people, I said, look, if today you're making money and you're well off, and you see somebody who's not as good as you financially, because I've been there, I know what it is to sit next to people who think less of who you are because of financial reasons, but they cannot say anything because they know that we are not in the same weight category. Because the moment something off comes out, something can come and hit them hard. But we are not stupid, we're educated people. We come from very high educations. A high value man knows how to behave himself. So you understand it's okay. But understand that in life, everything turns. It turns. Oh. Today is your turn. Tomorrow is their turn. It's fine. That's why you should never envy anyone. And anxiety should not be built on the lack of. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, it is built on that. It is built on the lack of something. That's what I felt. I felt the lack of something on Friday. I felt like, wow, what the fuck is this happening right now? Why am I being met by this challenge? You understand? That's what I'm telling you. In this life, if you don't value yourself, don't expect people to value you for you. It's impossible. Because people have a tendency to want to exercise power over you, one way or the other. But the thing is this, it's normal. If you act as a rug, you shall be treated as a rug. So what do you want to be? It doesn't mean that you have to be this super fucking massive alpha female or alpha male or whatever. No. It just means, look, I understand what you're saying. I understand your point. You've got a point, but I've got a point too. And I appreciate your input, but it's okay. I'll follow my way. Oh, but I understand. But we will see each other again. And God is my witness. If He permits, and if my word has been well put, and that I've seized the opportunities that was presented to me the right way, we will see each other again. And I will be the one treating you to that restaurant. I will be the one treating you to that whatever. And I will be the one to be pleased and honored to give you back what you gave me. Even though you may have given me what you gave me was not the best intentions. Don't undermine anyone. Don't undermine anyone. Even the person that comes from the lowest of the low can surprise you. And that doesn't mean that you have to be, it comes from even people who are rich, because there's an assumption. Because you come from money, you're not worthy. Who told you that? Who told you that? Oh, because what? Do you know? Do you know the realities of each family? Do you know what's going on behind the curtains, behind closed doors? Do you know the challenge of each and every one and any other person? Because you can be even in a poor family, but what about you? You could be the one who's actually the most cherished out of all the kids of that poor family. Yes, you were poor, but you were cherished. What about your other siblings? They were not. Yeah, but it's not the same. It's not the same. Hey, no, my man. At a certain point, everything is very relative. So you have got to understand that being firm and settled in your base is super important. So that when these anxiety attacks comes to you, you can be shaken on your base, yes, but you're not shifted off your base. Or at least not too much. And even if it happens, you need to have the right people around you that will help you get yourself back centered. Because I can guarantee you, there's nothing better than seeing a lion on the floor gasping for air for a lot of people. That's when the hyenas come, try to snatch a piece. So you have got to understand, you have got to understand where you stand. You have got to understand how you function. You have got to understand how you flow. And thanks to that, that didn't mean I didn't consider the idea of the diamond going back to my old activity, the diamonds business. But I'm being realistic. This is what I'm doing now, music. Of course, for obviously many reasons I could go back to that industry. Because my industry right now is fucked. I mean, yeah, we're able to survive, but the truth be told, like, I was making fucking much more money before this fucking thing came than I'm making now. As much as I'm a businessman, what got me where I am is because I was passionate. And I am passionate. And I didn't look at money. I believed in myself. I believed in my sound. So much so that I influenced generations of producers. They may not admit it, but I influenced all of them. Producers and DJs alike. I changed the full industry. Me, I was one of those who contributed to that. Admit it, don't admit it. It's for you to find out. But me, I'm telling you, I know my worth. When you've done that, you can doubt yourself, no matter the struggle, no matter the problem. You understand? When I'm saying this, you can feel the energy is pumping up because you pump yourself up. with the knowledge of what you've accomplished. And yes, of course, you have to remind yourself these things, because it's too easy to look down on yourself, you looking down on you. No, it's too easy to look at the things that, no, at a certain point, yes, you have to be humble, but humble doesn't mean being selfless. No. Be less about you. That's what it is. But attention, I'm as important as anyone else. However, I do know when it's about others, then yes. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to forget myself in this. And those are some of the things, that sequences that I put in place to help me regain control over this shit. Don't get me wrong. The sentiment and the feeling of anxiety is a very powerful and vicious thing. So it still is there some way, shape, or form, somehow. But I guarantee you that the more you work on your self-esteem, the more you work on pumping your energy, and not even your ego, because your ego is whatever. Your ego is like it's like those guys that flex a lot, but the truth is that they may have physical strength, but they don't have any sense of technique whatsoever, and they're easily broken down mentally, so it's not about flexing the ego, it's about fueling the spirit, fueling the soul, fueling what is deeper inside you. Motomoto Music is saying being firm and settle in your base is super important indeed. Somebody write that down. This one is sharing gold here. This is a key life principle. Know who you are and be proud in it. I'm a huge proponent of being self-aware and being confident in who you are. You will be shaken less by life's events and find your place in it all with more peace in your mind. Exactement. That doesn't mean, and I repeat, that because you're standing firm in your basis and your ground, and you understand that you're rooted in your truth and in your being, that you're better than anyone. No. And that somebody's criticism is automatically to be dismissed, because it's humbling. Me, I've learned that. I've learned that from my father himself. I've seen my father being humiliated. I've seen my mother being humiliated. We're talking about people that had money. And when they had it, you should have seen all the cocksuckers, all the cockroaches, all the hyenas who were disguised as, whatever. Humiliation. And it's not just humiliation, some bullshit humiliation. And we're talking about some deep shit that can lead somebody to actually be tempted to even suicide themselves. And those people think we forgot. But I'm not a revengeful person. It's not even in our family. We're not like that. But in life, everything has its time. Your success has its time. Your failure has also its time. Everything in life is sequenced. It's how you behave when those sequences unfold themselves in your existence. Because the ultimate truth and the ultimate absolute is that we're all going to die one day. So until that happens, I refuse to be victim and fall victim of anxiety or anything that's going to throw me off my loop. It may come, of course, just like the wind blows on my skin. I cannot impeach the wind. I shall welcome the wind. Sometimes it's cold, so I cover myself. Sometimes it's feeling nice, so I remove some layers. But overall, it's life. What are you saying? Okay, no. Il Maro, I totally agree and don't work with negativity. Keisha saying only the constructive criticism matters. How hard does it work by itself? It works for us. Exactly. But even when you say I only work with, I don't work with negativity. That's when there's a thing as well. Even me, I realize I don't work with negativity. But sometimes there's toxic positivity. There's positivity that even us as super positive people, we're not realizing that we're not leaving space for that harmony to take place. It's either one way or not. But sometimes people are not ready to even receive and embrace the positivity we try to bring upon their life. So does it mean that we have to dim our light? No. It just means that we probably have to package the delivery of our message in a different way. If you guys watch some of the recaps from last week's show with Kiara, that was actually called Life Will Make or Break You. One of them is there's one of them where I say I met a satanist, and it was crazy. I stripped myself from any preconceived ideas. I was just like, okay, because you'll see when you check the video. I've said it. This guy was the nicest dude. Like I could have not even imagined he was a satanist. So from appearance, I couldn't. You understand? The appearance got me. Well, it doesn't change that the guy's a nice guy. It's just that he's a satanist. And I was like, okay, cool. At a certain point, with the whole idea of what it means in my mind, I was like, fuck. For a moment, I was shaken. But then I was like, oh, me, scared of that. Oh, please. Yes, let's talk. So you were saying, oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay. Cool. That's not how I flow, but if that's who you are, it's okay. Just like you have to understand, you have a dark and a light and an enlightened side, you know? So it's like working in harmony with all aspects of your personality is so important. And understanding that you're not always positive and you're not always negative. Well, as a matter of fact, you're not as positive as you should always be. We are not as positive as we should always be as humans. But those of us who really work on making sure that we stay conscious of the possibility of us to go back into negative stuff, just like I told you, some of these voices that threw me off my balance this weekend, on Friday, and some conversations that I've had that really even got me even more shaken on my basis. Everything was kept in. It's like these buildings in Japan, right, that are built to sustain very high levels of seismic activity. If there's any earthquake or anything like that. That's what it was. Yeah, a lot of things inside the building was fucking shaken, glass broken, but the basis is still there. It allows me to be here with you today, Monday. So it happened Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 3 days. 4th day today, Monday. I'm here sitting. Still feeling a little bit of anxiety. It's remnants of that. With the breathing a little bit tight, but that's because it's been a busy day. I've been working because, again, I feel like I am not going to be a victim. That doesn't mean I'm not going to take time to rest, because this I won't do. I will indeed make sure that I acknowledge when I need to rest, I rest. I won't force anymore. But I will stand. And I think that the last word for this thing is I will stand. Even when I feel like I can't. And it's okay if I feel like I can. It's okay if I put a knee on the floor and I breathe in. But I will stand. And there is nothing or no one that can impeach me from shining that light of mine and not seeing through my vision and my plans. Family, with that being said, that was your Monday Quality Talks, the 21st episode. I would like to thank my Boddhi's, the Shada Gang, Papa Kesha, Moto Music, Lil Maro, Tatiana Said, Mountain of Inspiration, Emmanuel Etienne, Eliana Noguera, and everyone else watching. Thank you very much for watching the show. If you haven't done it just yet, make sure you subscribe to this channel. You show some love to this channel via the super chats, or you know that even if you watch it as a replay, you can always show some love via the PayPal. You have all the informations down below in the description. And you know, I appreciate your support. I appreciate your presence as always. I appreciate you sharing your words. And again, it's with gratitude. It's with gratitude that I receive you all. And once again, thank you very much, yo. And so, until next week, make sure you have a beautiful rest of your week. Stay positive, stay anchored, stand in your truth, acknowledge whatever is not going well. Take time, you know, let it sink in. But first and foremost, the most important thing is to always understand that nothing lasts forever, and especially not negative times. So you'll be fine. Merci à toutes et à tous, chers sœurs et frères. Thank you, everyone. Queens and kings, reines et rois, sisters and brothers, uncles and aunties. God bless you. Have a beautiful week. And see you Friday for Quarantine Grooves. It's going to be nice. And no anxiety attack. Hopefully. No, there won't be any. But if there is, hey, shit, well, we're going to still deal with it. We're going to address it. And we're going to keep fighting. But I don't think so. Should be fine by now. God bless you, family. Take care, yo. Peace.